Hello, this is Reverend Joseph Andrew Jensen. Again, I'm not going to put down this um, computer. It's in my lap. But I'm saying this to apologize for my granddaughter, and I wish I could apologize for all of humanity. But I can't apologize for all of humanity. It's going to take everybody to give the thumbs up. And please realize, God only wanted to give out God's coin. At first, it didn't start out that way. The last 5 years, it started out with God's message. God's message hit on, uh, didn't even get nowhere. People want to argue. They want to debate the Bibles. They debate everything. The point of the matter is everybody won't. God won't come back here to fix anything unless we apologize in the way of giving a thumbs up or approval for God to come. We have to convince God to rethink. Remember, it's not just trying to convince the God in me, it's to convince all the gods and everybody, 9 billion people in this world, including newborns and elderly people. We see commercials every day of the Jews that survived the Holocaust, feed the children. We see even the dogs and cats and things like that. The animals um, needed shelters, and people paying. St. Jude's Hospital, the Shriners, they do wonderful work. God's going, God's living ministry is going to make sure that every good charity is going to receive more help, more God's coin, more volunteers, more help. Free labor. We're going to increase their need. Just like the people in God's services will be there for free, helping St. Jude's Hospital for free. We want the scientists. We want the people to find the cures. We want to find the answers. As far as the pill goes that destroys life, I no longer want to take that because this, even in this continued broadcast, I have hope now. Even though it's going to take a while for anybody to respond to this, I received a notice not too long ago, about 2 weeks ago, congratulate me on 100 people visiting my website and reading the average of 4 pages. And I haven't received anybody seeing this video here. But that doesn't mean that God's working in everybody in this world. And this also appeals to God leading everybody to this website. Okay? The God in everybody. But first we got to get the interest of God that are interested, that will actually begin to forgive humanity with hope of creating heaven on earth. Yes, even the animals went wild, just like man went wild. It's just like we have to give this all back to God and put it in God's control. God's not here to micromanage the planet. He's not here to change your life. He has but one rule: spend, 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 spend. Do not save. Spend. There's not going to be a homeless person on this earth anymore if God's calls out. There's not going to be a hungry person on this earth anymore. There's not going to be an animal that's not either free or taken care of on this planet anymore. If we don't want the animal, then don't take the animal. Do animals need to be spayed and neutered? Probably. That's not for me to decide. That's for humanity to decide. When all humanity, when God's coin gets out, everybody that's 18 and older will be able to vote. Everybody in this that's 18 to 40 will be working for God's coin. The salaries will be great, starting at $50,000 a month. That's a God's coin every month. Depending on how many years they enlist for and what they're taking and what they want to do. If they want to enlist to be a doctor, of course it'll take 8 to 12. Of course it'll take 8 to 12 years of their life they'd have to enlist for. But what are they going to get? 10 God's coins per month. That's $500,000 a month. $500,000 a month. So you think a doctor can't make it on $500,000 a month? Sure he can. We'll live well on that. He won't be able to spend that much money. But he's doing it not just in the sake that he's got to invest. So what's he do? Creates his own clinic. He creates his own hospital. He creates his own means to see people on a personal basis. Within his neighborhood, within his care, reach. Doctors can do things. If they had the funds, they could do miraculous things. They could find cures on their own. They can do better care. And they need, what they got? Free nurses' assistants, nurses, secretarial assistants. All kinds of people would list in God's service to go to a hospital to learn how to do everything from the bookkeeping to the actual care of the patient, to helping these doctors in surgery. That's all free to them because those students are learning. They're learning under them and the best of the best chosen to teach. The ones that already know, nobody's going to go to school knowing everything. If they're going to still have to do the same amount of time, whether they're teaching or they're learning. That's the way God's coin works. We learn to defend ourselves. God's coins are going to prevent people from getting out of hand too. Just by simply, putting a hold on their funds. Not on everybody's funds in the family, but just on them personally. Have them go home, pending investigation at their own cost. These are things that will be done. I'm shaking this because it's on my lap now. I didn't intend to talk very long. But when you think of St. Jude's Hospital, when you think of the Shriners Hospital, when you think of all the commercials that want your money, somebody in that organization is really, they got a big establishment that's taking up most of that money. It's kind of like the Africans that receive care, the wheat or whatever food or money, it never gets to them. Because the armies take it before they take the food and they take the money before it ever reaches the people. No, it's a backwards world and it can't be. We got a second chance to do it the right way. We can't repeat this at all. We can't say our world was great and we're going to repeat it again and make it just identical. No way. This world has been opposite from the very beginning. We cannot live life this time without recognizing God first. Presumably, if God builds heaven on earth, there won't be any wild animals. There shouldn't be. But there shouldn't be any wild people either. We all have an accountability. I don't know how the indigenous cultures and everything will take the fact that you tell them they can't eat or hunt anymore. But there again, who's to say they have to stop hunting But they're the indigenous culture. At least they respect what they kill and take only what they need. So hopefully, I don't know the answers to everything. I'm not God, and I don't want to be God. But I knew we create a world. We're having a second chance to create a world, not by my design, but by God's design. And God's design will actually probably more or less be our design, because He's made a way for 100% of able voters to vote by phone and to decide on the conditions. We don't need conditions like you can't drink alcohol or you can't whatever. You can't cuss, you can't swear, you can't do. These are not personal things that get involved with anybody else's life. They're things that this is God's job, not us to be judges. We don't even need to teach anything about God unless we know what we're talking about. This is not, you don't talk about God unless you can document it. Then show proof of your documentation. Then debate it, and then teach it. Don't go theorizing on nothing. There's no such thing as theory anymore. If your religion has good books that you find interesting, you want anything, keep it to yourself. Unless you can explain every verse and everything to everybody and satisfy them in a debate form. Show your proof. Debate it before you teach it. Don't teach about hell if you don't, unless you can prove there is a hell. I told you before, I've been through hell and I've been on bed in hell. It even says in Psalms 139, even if I make my bed in hell, lo, God will be there. Now, how can I make my bed in hell if there is, if I did not dead and going to hell? Come on, people. We've been teaching the wrong things, and we're teaching what we don't understand and what we don't know. Teach only what you do know. And if you need help trying to find out, then ask people. Put the question out there so everybody to figure it out. Okay? That's all my opinion now. That's not really my opinion. That's God. God had something to do with that too. He's starting to talk with me again. So it means I did do the right thing. At least He inspired me to make this video right behind the other one. Meaning God is working again. He just wanted me to figure it out. Hopefully God's talking to me tomorrow, and He'll talk to me right on. And keep on talking to me, because before this, He never shut up. I had everything on my head, going for everything. I just miss Him. I miss God immensely. But these countries aren't favorable to us. 30 days at a time. Ironically, I was ready to stay in Jordan the rest of my life off that one visa, but I didn't really read the fine print. That fine visa ran out. It was 2 days behind. It only cost me 8 Jordan dinars, which is about $10, or about $15. But you see what I'm saying? It only cost me $15 for staying 2 days over. That's pretty daggum good. When I wasn't even thinking about that. I was thinking I was free to stay as long as I wanted because it was on one leave, but it was actually just 30-day leave, just like it was in Egypt, just like there is in Africa. But thank God, if I do get a chance to go to Bujumbura, Marcel, you can hear this here with Yvette and Marcy. I will do my very best to be there at Christmas. Sister Rosa, I was mentioning you when you thanked me for explaining God. She was a young nun. She is a young nun. Sister Rosa never had it explained to her that way. When I told her that her father, when God chose her father and mother, it was long before they ever met, and their paths had to cross, and God had to manipulate their lives to make them cross and meet each other. He could have done that 20 years before. At the same time, which I didn't say it then, but I know it now, that God, when He's thinking about your parents and how they met, He also created their children. He created you. You lived inside your mother and your father as the unborn. He created you. Whether you call it spirit or not, I don't call it spirit. I call it physical, because you physically was living in your DNA. Why would else would your DNA already know what you look like? If you're living in your DNA and your family's living in your DNA and all your people in your bloodline are living in your DNA, why wouldn't I believe that God's already created the unborn with their true identities, what they already look like? Doesn't mean they look exactly like God. It's because they're doing it the way God created them to look. He looked at the mother, He looked at the father, and He drew how they would look or sculpted you, and give you life. Why did He give you life? The same way He gave you life after your father, when your mother and father made you in secret. He told the father, "Come on in. I've been waiting a long time. Come on." Then he followed the father in and closed the door. Nobody has two fathers. This all made sense to Sister Rosa. It ought to make complete sense to you, because she was a nun and she had never heard anybody explain that to her. Because the first question I asked Sister Rosa, I said, "Sister Rosa, where's heaven?" She thought hard about it. She didn't try to think up something. She said, "I don't know." I said, "Where is God?" She thought again. "I don't know." She answered truthfully, because she is a real child of God. Just like Sister Vesna, who's been the Sister Superior at the it's called the Centre Akamori, which is the center for the children with problems, autism, Down syndrome, cerebral palsy, twisted limbs, all different kinds of ranges of problems, 170 beautiful children. That's where I got to go at Christmas time to be Perry Noel, Santa Claus. What I'm saying is, how did I meet these people? How did I get back to these things? And why wouldn't I go back and see Isa? That it took me to at the Bedouin village to talk to them, because they truly wanted to hear God's message. It's a beautiful message, telling everybody God lives within yourself. Completely makes sense. It's just, like I said, Sister Rosa, she caught right on, but she speaks very good English. Sister Vesna, she doesn't speak English at all. She speaks French, and she speaks Slovenian, which is ex-Czechoslovakia. Ironically, I know 3 people in old Czechoslovakia. Sister Vesna was the 3rd. Frank Skrubek, worked with me for 5 years, changing out 5 reactor heads. Every year we did a reactor head, changing it out for Westinghouse Nuclear. He was an engineer, and I was, I guess, considered an expert in the heavy lifting. Okay? We come in seven people teams. Each one of us is expert in anything. We all help each other. We all do each other's job at the instructions of the person that knows what they're doing. As a team, 7-person team, sometimes more, but 7 people at least are chosen to go each time they make a jump to do something. But Francie Skrubek, You never believe in God. Most people, when you check the box, you don't. Same with Dragna. Dragna, she's one of my best friends. She was my secretary that kept our payroll when I was on Iraq. A payroll secretary. And she read my books and she loved my writing, but she doesn't believe in God. They're socialists. They're not really socialists either. They're more, they're individuals. They don't believe in God, but they're independent. But they're very intelligent people. And I don't doubt that as soon as this happens, they will start believing in God. If the world changes, I can understand why anybody wouldn't want to believe in God now, because it's not man's will, it's God. It's not God's will, it's man's will be done. So why would God, like I said, we hold God's hostage in us by God living in us, by our DNA, which is heaven, and by our unborn, which art in heaven. That was God. He's telling you good night. Let's close with that. God in me says he loves you.